Dr. Andi Trisyono, a researcher at Universitas Gadjah Mada, is currently conducting a study in Central Java on the role of parasitoids in protecting maize from plant pests, as part of a regional project that is developing solutions for fall armyworm control. The project is sponsored by the Asian Food and Agriculture Cooperation Initiative, AFACI, led by the government of South Korea.
We just started to study about the population dynamics of the fall armyworm and its egg parasitoid particularly. And the study was stimulated by our previous findings from our own research, indicating that fall armyworm is very dynamic in terms of the population. Sometimes the population is quite high and causing a lot of damage. But on the other hand, or on the other times, the population is very low. And we can look at the history of the fall armyworm in Indonesia since 2019. And we still do not know very sure what are the factors that actually regulating the up and down of the population as well as the damage. And we know that from the previous finding, the egg parasitoid can regulate the population of fall armyworm very tightly, because our own research shows that the parasitism level can be up to 40%, which is quite high. And why we choose the Central Java? Because Central Java is one of the corn central production in Indonesia, and I believe it is the second largest area of corn in Indonesia. And there are different geographic regions of the corn in Central Java, and we selected Klaten and Grobogan because Grobogan is mostly monoculture and it's very wide area of corn, while in Klaten, in many cases, corn is found to be very patchy and more than one crops in one location. I think those representing two different cropping systems in Central Java and probably in Indonesia. Okay, so we are expecting that we will know better about the population dynamics so that we can identify in which part of the year in Indonesia in different cropping systems that will be very critical for the fall armyworm. What I mean with critical is that the time when the fall armyworm is going to be kicked off to increase the population. And if we can identify that critical time, the next question is that, is there any things that we can do to intervene and to mitigate so that the population of fall armyworm will not increase? Okay, farmers are the key component in the success of managing fall armyworm because actually they are the frontliner of the whole processes. So when we try to develop something, probably some technological package, make sure that what we can achieve, what we can deliver is practical and workable at the farmer's level. The way we look at it on this study is that if we can identify what parasitoids that are very important in managing of the fall armyworm and how they behave and in relation with the population of dynamic of the fall armyworm, and we know the critical time, the question as I mentioned that what can we do? There are two big things actually that we can do. One is that can we provide something that might be good for the insect, especially the natural enemies, to live better. For example, because natural enemies in many cases need to be feeding on nectar. So by providing more flowers surrounding the corn fleet, maybe will helping the natural enemies to survive better. The second one is that if we know the critical time in relation between the fall armyworm and natural enemies, the best way also, is there anything that we can avoid to use pesticide during the critical time? So we can reduce the amount of pesticide applied during the critical time for natural enemies. It means that we will reduce or minimize the effect or the negative impact of the pesticide to the natural enemies. In other words, that we are helping the natural enemies to survive.